Welcome to another development update stream. I am your host, Ben McHale-Dean. I am the producer for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and with me is Chris Joppa Perkins. Today, we're going to show you something really special. We're going to show you some storylines and the mechanics in Pantheon and how they all fit together. So, without further ado, actually, I'm going to turn things over to Chris. Chris, why don't you walk through what we're going to be doing today?
Happy to. Yeah, it's exciting. If you've been kind of following our streams, you know that we've recently showed the Faerthale reveal of the Faerthale forest, and so we wanted to take you guys a little bit deeper into the forest of Oldwood, which is where we're standing right now. This is a very large section of the Faerthale zone overall, and lots of really cool stuff in here. But we've chosen this little pocket because, as Ben said, we want to show off more of the perception storylines in action. We've talked a lot about the perception system. We've talked about the storylines as well, but I know the community is still very interested in seeing things in action to kind of put things in place a little bit better. So we're going to be talking about several of the different mechanics that you'll see playing out in storylines and in the perception system in general. And we're going to be doing it all in game and in context. So this is going to be really fun. Excited about it. I'm going to try to narratively guide us through here and then point out some of the mechanics as we see them. And Ben is going to just enjoy the experience and kind of let it unfold for all of you from his perspective. So you ready to head on in here, Ben?
I'm ready to enjoy my perspective.
Good. All right, let's head on in. So we've been running down this path for a little while, and we've kind of stumbled into what looks like a little grove here, and we're being greeted by a Wildheart Spriggan. Just quickly, we want to point out that, as you draw near to this Spriggan, you don't actually, when you hover over her, we could attack her, but we don't really have any way to interact with her except that she's actually speaking to us as we draw near. So this is something that we've been able to get in recently, which is the chat bubble system for NPCs. It's not for everyone. It is an option. So if you would rather the NPC chat just go straight to your chat box and that only, that's fine. But we do.
I like looking at the screen at the play space, walking in and just seeing it on there instead of having down the main chat. Again, that's a personal preference, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It does a lot to kind of bring the world to life because you're able to not take your eyes off of the NPCs or off of the context of the situation, and you can read what they're saying. It's cool, and this is placeholder art, obviously, for the chat bubbles. Just something representative to make sure that things are working and feeling right. But so let's move on in a little bit further here.
Oh,
awesome!
There is a quiet magic in the air. This is a sacred place.
Yep. That right there is your intuition speaking to you. As a keeper, someone who is engaging in the perception system, you've become a keeper. And what you're doing as a keeper is you're developing these abilities, these special abilities that you have of insight and intuition and the ability to investigate and see more deeply into the mundane and kind of see beyond, if you will, the things that are harder to see or significance in things that aren't readily apparent. And so this little ping message is going to be a pretty constant companion, a very consistent companion to you as a keeper, alerting you to sometimes to certain details and pieces of information. Sometimes it's going to be more mood or atmosphere, but it's meant to draw you into your player and help you experience things as your player would be experiencing them. So we can expect to see a few more messages like that as we go along here. So as we move even deeper in, we're seeing this area open up a little bit. We've already passed a Wildheart Spriggan. We've gotten this perception ping. It's kind of helping us get the fact that there's something special about this place. And if you notice, I think you've probably already caught inside of her, but here behind these hanging vines, we see another Spriggan peeking through there, and this one actually is named. This is Varen. So why don't you run on up to her and see if you can find anything out.
Ah, a human in Oldwood. It is unusual to see a human in the deeper parts of Oldwood. Your presence is welcome here, but do not be careless.
Very good. Cool. Yeah, so unlike the Wild Heart Spriggan we passed before, we see Valren, we run up to her. She has a chat bubble as well. Oh, it's a human. It's a human in Oldwood. And if you go up to her and hover over her, you actually see that you can talk to her. So that's what Ben did. And really just kind of a basic message. We're here in what seems to be Spriggan territory to a degree. And she's just observing the fact that you're here. There's nothing deeper, nothing special, just a quick little conversation. Now, here's what's really important to emphasize. The perception system is meant to condition you as a player over time to not just stop here. You could be tempted to just stop here. Oh, it's an NPC. Our first response is just run straight for an NPC when we see one. We interact with it. What happens, happens. What they say is what they say, and we just don't really expect anything more. The perception system, though, is meant to give you this sense that there's always a possibility that there could be something more to see or something more to find, or maybe a way to push things to open up a little bit. So I want to ask you, Ben, to come back here with me. We're gonna back up and kind of reset this moment a little bit. And this time we've noticed Valren, but instead of just running right up to her, what's going to happen if we kind of take in the setting that she's in a little bit? We're paying attention to what's around her, and as you do that, as you kind of look around, you will find that if you hover over these vines,
I've got a hand on the flag.
You got a hand on the vine, yeah. So go and interact with that.
Fresh nectar pots are growing on this ivy.
Now, if you go and talk to Valren now, let's see what happens.
There is even more to see here, human. And she says, "What is your name, human?" And I can give her, well, I can say, "My name is Mikhail."
Yep, tell her your name.
Indeed it is, Mikhail. And much like you have noticed the sweet-smelling nectar pots, we have noticed you. Whether you're lost or searching for something, I believe Vaymir is intended to guide you. Look up, Mikhail, and meet her gaze. So who's
Very cool.
Vaymir is intended to guide me? Look up.
Yeah. Yeah, I see in our chat log here we had a few of those. There's even more to see here, humans. And just so everyone understands, my character has already done this, and so I've already searched the nectar pots. She was in case that chat bubble showed up for anybody else, but very cool. So let's just take stock of what's just happened here. You run up to Valren, you talk to her the first time. She's like, it's a human. We backed up. We noticed that we could interact with these vines, and we did. And you have to think about like who is Valren? She's a Spriggan. What is a Spriggan's value judgment? What does a Spriggan think is important? If you were going to come into Spriggan territory and be a presence that they are going to warm to and open up to, they may not do that just by right of you being there. But when she sees you taking note of the vines, when she sees you taking note of the nectar pots that are growing there, something about that moment has caused her to soften and to warm to the possibility that there may be more to you than meets the eye, just like there's much more to this place than meets the eye. And because you are someone who seems to be more sensitive to that, then it might be time to meet this Vaymir. So yeah, she's hinted at that. She hasn't told you exactly what to do, but she's hinted that she's hinted at some vertical aspect here. So what are you seeing? Have you found Vaymir?
It's just not back where we started. Oh! Look at that. She's up on that stone up there.
How are you gonna get up there, man?
GM fly?
No, follow me.
Oh.
So one of the things we wanted to show off in this video too is the freeform climbing. And on the last developer stream, we talked about how climbing is on, for everything right now. And so we have a chance to demonstrate that for everybody, which is really cool. Now this geometry is kind of interesting. There, and you're going to find some places in the climbs where you're really going to have to hunt for that that way up. And a lot of this is going to be skill based too. And so being able to climb up the side of a rock is one thing. Being able to actually grab onto an overhang is going to be a little bit more challenging.
I like how you can scale like just like right around the rock.
Mm-hmm. One of the very next things we're doing with the climbing system is hooking it up to the endurance cost. And so that too is going to make the act of climbing much more meaningful, because you're going to have to make decisions on where you go and what you try based on how much resource you have before you have to rest and kind of be able to go at it again. I mean, I've already made it up, Ben. I don't know if
I took the scenic route.
Seem to be going the long way around there. Okay. Very cool. All right, so we've made it up to Vaemir. Now when you approach... Yeah, awesome. Go ahead and roll through it.
Mikhail, period. You sensed it when you first entered our grove, didn't you? Yet feelings are like the smoke of an incense, beautiful, real, but ever-changing shape. Nay, who was certain you would come, but uncertain of what you would see? Well, Varin led me up here, so I'm going to say Varin led me to you. So it seems. Yet you are always on the path to find me, Mikhail. Human and Spriggan alike walk a path, that is certain. But it is what we truly see along the path that shapes each of us. Now, Mikhail, what do you see? Oh, I see you, Vaemir. Look beyond me to the fallen tree shard ahead. Oh, I think she's talking about this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Hollow, rotten, for some nothing more than a relic of forgotten time. Yet it now serves as a bridge to many of the creatures living here. Go to the fallen tree bridge, Mikhail, stand on top of it, and open your eyes. Then return and show me what you have seen. I shall.
Okay, very cool. So let's head over to the log, and I think the best way down is just kind of jump down onto this this route here.
I saw you jumping off the cliff. I'm like, just fall right off. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Good.
We do have fall damage off right now, so
that's true.
we can do things like
I just want to look at this verdant proud one for a second. That's pretty cool. All right. So the log was over there.
And I just feel like it would be good just to really double down on the fact that climbing really is on for everything. Just showing just a few examples of it really is that simple. It's you can climb in Pantheon. Look, here's a tree. I kind of want to climb it. All right, I am going to do so. I mean, there's so much we can devote to really talking through that when the time comes and all the implications of that. But climbing is truly on. Okay, so we've been led to this fallen tree shard. Now, she said climb or go to the top of it. So we thankfully have climbing skill to do so. And there's kind of a perfect little spot here. Yeah, exactly. Climb right up there.
Oh, I can hear the voice of Vaemir. What do you see, Mikhail?
What do you see?
I see a fallen log. I see a Joppa. And I see a big forest.
This is the other thing that we've been excited about doing this video, is just giving everyone a larger perspective on just how vast this forest is, and this is only just a small little section of it. Cool. Now we are, kind of demoing this right now, so for sake of time, we are just going to kind of pop right back over to where Vaemir is. But we've done what she asked us to do, and let's head back to Vaemir and see what happens.
Come closer, Mikhail.
Now, did you notice that she called you? She said, "Come closer, human."
Instead of human, yeah.
Now that you've interacted with her, she's actually addressing you by name.
Ah. You saw only the destination, Mikhail. Therefore, you have already found what you were able to see. For now, I cannot guide you further.
Ouch.
Well, farewell to you, Vaemir. Thanks for nothing.
So, obviously, that's one way that this could be accomplished. And she told us to go to the log. We went to the log. Now, want to show off here what would happen if maybe we took our time a little bit more on our way to the log and actually just kind of considered the path. She's talking a lot about path. She's talking a lot about sight. What do you see? We all walk the path. Let's try this again. So I've got some commands for you, Ben. If you just want to hit those until you clear your flags, and then we will.
Okay, all player bars cleared. We're good.
Okay, let's head back up to Vaymir then, and let's reinitiate this interaction.
Mikhail, you sensed it when you first entered our grove, didn't you? Okay, so that was the first thing she said to me.
Yep. Just follow that same track.
I see you, Vaymir. Look beyond the fallen tree shard. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I shall go to the fallen tree bridge. Stand on top of it.
So I want to make a point real quick here, too, to say that part of what we're doing is showing the narrative arc of this storyline. But we're also wanting to highlight the mechanics. So this stretch here is going to feel somewhat artificial in that we're coming back, we're resetting, we're kind of going through the same path to set things back up again.
So you're saying we're probably not going to have clear VARs available for players?
You will probably not have clear VARs available for players. Correct. But this lets us show off some of the more subtle aspects of the perception system, which we've been excited to do. So let's jump back down. Now, what I want you to do, Ben, is this time, instead of just running straight there, think about the interaction we had at the beginning with Varen, and how when we went straight to her, we got one thing, but when we came back and we more, thoughtfully looked and considered what might that look like for you? Is there anything that you feel like you can or should or are being drawn to consider?
Well, she said follow the path, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, what do we see all along this path as we're running?
Well, I see flowers.
Obviously, there's flowers, there's grass.
Trees. I see wildlife.
What about this? What about this root here?
Okay. Oh. Yeah, it's clickable. This massive root must pierce the very heart of Terminus. Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So all of these trees obviously are going very deep into the ground, into the earth.
Yeah, which speaks to the age of the forest. Trees are amazing thing because they're beautiful. They're in some cases very, very strange, strangely shaped, strangely placed, majestic. But universally they speak to age. They speak to. As an example, like when we run up here a little bit further, if we run past the log, you're also seeing these little baby oldwood trees. And if you come, you can see with this one right here in front of me, if you hover over that one.
They might even call them youngwoods. Even these ancient giants have a beginning.
So again, we're considering our environment. We're considering what's around us. Now, if we go now to the log again, and you climb to the top and you do what Vaymir asked you to do originally, this time we've actually noticed some things on the way, and it'll be interesting to see if that has any effect on Vaymir's estimation of us.
The voice of Vaymir. Okay, so she said the same thing, but this time she asked, "What do you see, Mikhail?" Which she asked last time, but this time we actually saw more on the way here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's
head back to her.
Okay. Come closer, Mikhail. Your eyes are opening, Mikhail. Oh, so this is different. Your eyes are opening, Mikhail. The path was clear, but what you saw along the way has already begun to shape you. The roots of the great oldwood trees speak loudly of this forest's ancient past, but there's far more to see. So I saw a bit, but she's saying there's still more.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, now let's back up again. Let's reset our variables, our flags.
Okay, cleared.
Let's go ahead and re-engage her.
Rin led me. I see you, Vaemir, and I shall. All right. And then we're jumping down.
So this time we're going to notice the route like we did last time, which you can actually do it on this route we just climbed down. There's several routes in here that you can get that prompt on.
Here's the heart. Yep.
Watch out for the Proudhorn there. There's lots of little pockets of Spriggan that are easy to miss in here too. There's actually a couple in this tree right here to the right.
Oh yeah, they blend so well with it.
They do.
Can you imagine walking in this forest in the middle of the night?
No, but the bioluminescence and
that would give them away. Yeah.
The magical energy would be really, really cool. Now, what else might we see here? I mean, obviously, there's lots of beautiful plant life. Some of these things, could end up being harvestable or whatnot. But is there anything else that stands out to you?
Oh, what about these mushrooms over here?
Hey, there you go.
Oh yeah, look at that. Flavorful mushrooms commonly found growing on the trees of Oldwood. All right, so that's just so it's basically just telling me what's there. That's cool. So now I've noticed something more when I go back to her.
Yeah.
Let's get the sapling too.
Now, the sapling, the mushrooms, the roots. We've taken stock now of on our path here several different things to consider. So now let's
go back up and trigger the next phase. Climb. I can hear the voice. What do you see, Mikhail? We're going to fly back to you, Vaemir. We're coming. All right. What does he say this time? Ah, look at that. Now I know your eyes are fully open, Mikhail. From Oldwood's ancient power to the honorable life that fills it, you have seen it well. Now, how may I guide you further? Oh, and
look at all the options that are open to you now.
The abomination, Varin, who are you? Why are Spriggan gathered here? Yeah, so now we've got all sorts of dialogue.
Beautiful. Now, what's left is things when we talk about perception, we talk about storylines. You can go ahead and close out of that as well, because I don't want to give away any of that. Those
no beans.
Where those lead from here, but when you take these mechanics, we've talked a lot about how the perception system is based on a kind of a matrix of flagging. So your race, your class, which are kind of those standard things. But then we talk about how it's going to be the things that you do. It's going to be the things that you notice. It's going to be the items that you have equipped in some cases, or whether or not you've interacted with this particular NPC in this particular place, or traveled to this zone or this place within that zone. That's really going to kind of open up and change what is available to you whenever you have interactions and moments like this. And so what we've seen here is, again, in an artificial sense, to show you kind of the full spectrum of what's available in this particular interaction. But we've shown here kind of a spectrum of outcomes where if I encounter Vaemir and she's telling me to go and visit this log, it's up to me whether I'm going to do that, or if I'm going to or how I'm going to do that. Am I going to just go straight there? Am I going to look for other things, other clues, ways to expand and possibly go deeper and find more about what's going on here? There's lots of context clues in the conversation that Vaymir had in terms of they all kind of correlate to what we could find along the way, along the path. Taking a look at the things that we see and really looking to see what stands out. So there's a wide variation of what kind of outcomes you can have, and it's really important to say though that this perception system is designed from the ground up to be a vehicle of immersion. It is designed to be the primary way, the crowning way in Pantheon that you engage with the world and the story and the setting and the meaning behind all things Pantheon. And with that in mind, you really are in many ways a product of your choices. Were you to come and just go from Vaymir to the log and back, then it's likely that you may have kind of closed that door to be able to move forward. Now, in this case, in this particular case, there is actually a way that you can come back with Vaymir and kind of have another go with her, and then your insight and your investigate skills are also going to be there. We'll showcase that in the future, but they're to help you uncover some of these things. It's not going to only be based on your context clues, but there is a very real way that you will be in the end a product of your decision making. What were you going to say, Ben?
Well, that begs the question then. Being a metagamer myself, can I ever get backed into a corner where I make the wrong choice and miss out on like a great reward?
So that's probably the question, and I think the best thing to say there is that the perception system is designed to where there really is no best decision or worst decision or right or wrong decision. And part of how we're achieving that is that we are removing perception from this leveling or reward based paradigm that you would think of with, I guess, traditional questing, where maybe the only way I can get this item is if I do this quest, but if I quote unquote make the wrong choice or mess it up, then I've missed that chance. That's not going to be the case with perception. Perception is similar to the crafting sphere. You're not a crafter unless you choose to be. You opt into that system. With perception, you choose to become a keeper, and you do so because you value and you have a deep interest in the happenings of the world and what's going on in the world. And as a keeper, you will have an identity by the time you reach, kind of the full progression of that system, based on what you've done and who you have been. Who have you developed relationships with? Who have you developed faction ties with? This quest very much for the Spriggan could be, part of a faction kind of situation with them where, this could have been one avenue through which you go deeper with the Spriggan, but there will be many. And it's really meant, players will become, I think, comfortable with the fact that I am really becoming a product of the decisions I'm making. It's not gating me out of progression. It's not gating me out of content or, like adventuring content and making it to where I can never get this item or get this ability. It's simply a way for you to leave your impact on the world by the decisions that you make and the things that you are able to learn and to grow in, and really the vehicles through which you can do that. And that's the last thing I'll say is a big part of perception is building in multiple avenues to the same destination. We want that sense of, the Spriggan, again, for example, already in what we've shown with the Faerthale reveal and with this video is, several named Spriggan through which there is a potential vehicle to develop more of a deeper relationship with them. And that's what I was saying about Vaymir earlier. If you go straight to the log and come back, let's say, and you've not really, proved in this moment to be who she was wondering if you were, you would have opportunities through Nehu, the giant, Spriggan that we saw in the Perception Quest, and perhaps through others to work your way back into an opportunity to do that again. And then with insight and investigate skills there to help you uncover things, like we saw with the roots and with the mushrooms and so forth. It's going to feel very natural and very realistic in terms of I really am needing to think carefully about what I'm doing and take my time. And that's why we don't want it connected to leveling or gear or things like that, because when you do that, inherently it puts this kind of this engine on it of like, I gotta go. I need to get this done. I'm trying to get my level. I'm trying to unlock this piece of gear, or, and we didn't want any of that touching perception. This is a long play system. This is a deep character development system. This is like reading a good book, uncovering the who, what, where, when, why, how of the world around you, and
mixing in a bit
love it.
Choose your own adventure.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how great does that feel to be, a master keeper and look back and see the path that you took, see the real path that you took, and see, kind of survey, and that, that some of that's going to play into to progeny and other things where there's so many ways to really embrace and enjoy that sense of deep character development for each of your characters, and super excited about it.
What's particularly interesting to me too is obviously Pantheon is designed in terms of combat and strategy tactics, playing with friends, working out the, overcoming obstacles. But what this does effectively is add a layer where you don't necessarily have to think about the best of the best. You have to think about how you would play it. So instead of always thinking about the metagame, you're starting to think about, who am I? Who am I in this world? What am I going to do? And that's something that's rare, because often when I play through games, I'm always very conscious of the fact that it's a game. But in this kind of setup, it's more of, well, I'm just experiencing, I'm just exploring, I'm just finding things out as I would. And while I have to be conscious of the decisions I make, it doesn't mean that I have to re-roll a new character, to be the best I can be. It just means I've made these decisions and now I live with them. I think that's so cool. It adds such a unique layer. Chris,
yeah, and I got to say one more thing. Yeah. Sorry, but I think it's really important. The other aspect of the perception system, which I think is incredible, is the surprise. And there's, when you're reading a good story, sometimes events happen in the story and you think, oh my goodness, like I never saw that coming, or I hate that happened. Like, your favorite character gets killed off, or something really tragic happens, or just, the antagonist gets the upper hand for a period of time. But there's these, and in good stories, there's often these unexpected ways that conflict or things that don't set well with you at first actually end up working out, or redirecting onto a better and exciting path. And so going back to, what happens if you come here and you go straight to the log and you come back and Vaemir's like, for now, I can't guide you further. What I love about the perception system is go back to the Faerthale reveal, go back to Nehu and Nymir in the with the old one, where the old one leads you to Nehu and she's telling you about the abomination. Which we then went on to show was actually sleepless. And so if you've been following some of this narrative through even just the streams, that there is some kind of a connection between the Spriggan, Oldwood, Faerthale, Sleepless, the Torn. There's really a big narrative arc kind of going on there. And even we saw here at the end with Vaemir, she mentions, or the abomination is something that you open up the ability to be able to talk to her about. So imagine, through the adventuring sphere that, you may have left this Vaemir conversation and you missed it, and you missed the roots, you missed, the things that she wanted you to see, and for now she can't guide you further. But then as an adventurer, you go and you actually slay Sleepless. mean, that's a massive flag to have on your character. I have killed Sleepless. So what kind of effect is that going to have on what would happen if you came back to Vaymir after that? What might she say to you if now you're carrying that flag and all the other Spriggan in kind? And so that surprise, that the way for the narrative of your character to be going one direction, but then based on the things that you do as an adventurer, as a crafter, as an explorer, begin to even come back and redirect and change and evolve some of those earlier past situations as well, which is a massive point for replayability of this game, where the joy of going back through these characters, these NPCs that you've had interactions with, and seeing the way that those interactions evolve as your character grows and as you do more and more things in the game world throughout your player journey is a fascinating aspect of this system, which I'm super excited about, and I think it's going to be I think it's going to be one of the more endearing, one of the more exciting and immersive aspects of this game by far.
It's certainly going to add memories, that's for sure. Chris, thanks so much for taking the time to show us all of this stuff today. It's very, very exciting. As a reminder to folks, we are entering pre-Alpha 5 this summer. So if you haven't yet and you want to be a part of that, go to our pledge page at pantheonmmo.com and you'll find all sorts of packages available there. We are crowdfunding a game, and your pledges make this game happen. So thank you all for what you have been doing. Chris, once again, thank you very much, and thank you to our audience for tuning in. Until next time, do you want to head us out, Chris?
Onward and upward, everyone. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.